This is now turn 2 in 3 battles of Manassas. It's the 9:30 a.m. turn, starting with the Confederates. And at this point in the battle, General Johnston is still inactive. So all I have as the Confederate leader is General Beauregard. And he has a 0 command rating. So I issued 2 simple orders. That's about all he can manage with that low of a command rating. And I had them given verbally through an aide, so it's like the most convoluted way to do it. And I may have cheated here because these may not have actually been simple orders. But anyway, I ordered Holmes to move his brigade and artillery to the McLean house. I assume that we're not going to enter harm's way. And then I have Jones ordered to Newmarket with his artillery attached. These orders are not going to arrive until 10:30, so these guys are still waiting to even hear anything. Meanwhile, I have Evans' brigade does get to Matthews Hill, and it deploys on the northeastern side with the artillery battery. And then I have General B bypasses the Conrad home while Colonel Bartow passes through Newmarket. Hampton's Legion continues his march along the Manassas-Sudley Road, passing the Steers homestead. And then I go to the Union portion of the turn, and here both Burnside and Porter manage to cross the railroad cut, and they start to form up in the woods north of Matthews Hill, and you can see that depicted in this picture. And you can see that the rebels are nearby, and General Hunter has decided to be cautious here while he's feeling his way around. And you can see also that half of Porter's unit is lingering behind at the Sudley Church. That's on the left-hand side of the picture, along with the division's artillery. Anyway, that's one of the things I love about the Civil War Brigade series is watching these meeting engagements develop into, combat eventually. But that brings the 9:30 turn to a close. We now go to 10 o'clock, and the Confederates start with General Beauregard ordering General Jackson to move his brigade and artillery detachment to the Henry House Hill to prepare for further orders. Again, that order is going to arrive at 10:30, and so in the meantime, I have General B marching further forward to his objective, and he finally gets to Young's Branch. And then during the Union part of the turn, General McDowell does arrive from the flank. So while this is happening, Porter's brigade moves into contact with Evans' brigade on Matthews Hill. You can see that in the picture here. And the Union has extended lines. That's going to allow him a little bit more firepower to concentrate. And while this is happening, Burnside's brigade advances along the Sudley-Manassas Road in line formation, so he's moving very slowly here. And then I have General Hunter setting his headquarters up in the woods behind Matthews Hill. The other section of Porter's unit is following up with an artillery detachment. So what ends up happening is Evans' brigade fires defensive fire first, and he does manage to inflict some losses on the enemy here. And Porter fires back, of course, and inflicts 2 casualties on Evans' brigade. But both sides still have high morale at this stage, and that brings the turn number 10 a.m. to a close. Now we go to the 10:30 turn, starting with the Confederate player. And Beauregard isn't making any new orders this turn. He's waiting for the troops to get and follow through with the orders that he's already given. General Johnston is still inactive. I guess maybe Beauregard seems to know what he's doing, at this stage. Crockett does receive his orders to defend Farms Ford, and he delays. So in this game, delay means basically the general receiving the orders, or the colonel is trying to figure out how he's going to do it, or when he's going to start, and whatnot. In the meantime, Holmes also receives his orders to move from Union Mill to the McLean House. That order is delayed as well. And then Jones' brigade gets his orders. Remember, these were all coming in at 10:30, and he was ordered to move to Newmarket. He delays. So General Jackson also receives his orders. He's supposed to move to Henry House Hill. He delays. So that's kind of how it's going to go. It really does show the foot dragging that might be going on. Then General B, who already has orders, and Bartow's brigade as well, crosses Young's branch, and they advance in line formation to Dogan's Ridge. And the Shenandoah Artillery Battery also rolls up into the Henry House and unlimbered it right there on that elevation. And also the Hampton Legion marches up to Young's branch. Evans' brigade, they were involved in the first fire earlier. They pivot and prepare to fire on the Union troops at Matthews Hill. Porter orders defensive fire, which ends up wrecking the Confederate brigade, and it becomes shaken. Then Evans returns fire, and Porter suffers some straggler losses, and the Union ends up getting a bloodlust morale marker. Then we go to the Union portion of the turn. Burnside's brigade continues to move along the Manassas-Sudley Road into contact with General B's men, which the Union has extended lines. Porter's brigade is, I think, on the left here, and the artillery is set up in the hills to the west. So the rebels end up returning fire on Dogan's Ridge, and the Shenandoah artillery is firing along with General B's brigade against the Union extended lines. And this really doesn't have much effect other than reduce the ammunition supply. Burnside's brigade does suffer some casualties as a result of General B's defensive fire, and as a result his men become shaken and fall back. Bartow's brigade also fires at Porter's brigade, which causes some losses, and then the Union fires at B's brigade with Burnside's unit at maximum distance, and he does cause some straggler losses. B becomes disorganized and is forced to fall back. Then Porter's brigade fires at Bartow's brigade. That one becomes shaken. You can see that in the picture here, showing B and Bartow falling back toward Buck Hill. On Matthews Hill, Evans fires some defensive fire against Porter's brigade. You can also see that depicted in the picture. And after taking losses, Porter loses his bloodlust marker, and Porter's men fire back at Evans's wrecked brigade, and they take more heavy losses, but their morale holds up, and they continue to hold Matthews Hill. Anyway, that brings the 10:30 a.m. turn to a close, and I thank you for watching.